What's going on, guys? Today we're going to start working on the garden. I got a tiller out, the old Cub Cadet, True Fuel. Right there is non-ethanol, so it'll keep from clogging up my carburetor. As little as you run a tiller between that and a chainsaw, I would highly recommend you use non-ethanol fuel. I gotta till this once, just till all this under and then let it sit. It needs to sit for at least several weeks so all this can die. And then I'd like to till it again, put some fertilizer on it, and plant my seeds. State of the country, the way it's in, food prices, gas prices, everything else. To be honest with you, if you've got a little spot, I mean, you don't have to have a spot bigger than 10 foot, and you can plant enough stuff a lot of times to eat on all summer long and not have to buy certain vegetables anyway, and save you a lot of money for very little work, and it's really cheap. But there's really no excuse to go and buy stuff like tomatoes when they're one of the easiest things there is to grow, and it costs about $2 for a pack of seeds. At least that's my opinion. I try to buy as little as possible. See if I can get this thing cranked up, and we'll start tilling. Today is May the 1st. I was gonna come out here and kind of check my garden out, kind of go over what I have done since the previous video. To show y'all what I've done, right here I've got a row of thornless blackberries. You can see they're doing really good. They are alive and kicking. Where they grow up and come back and touch the ground, they will actually root, and you can dig those up and replant them. Like y'all can see where this one was actually cut off of the original plant, and it had touched the ground and rooted. So all I did is stick those roots in the ground, and here it is coming back as another plant. What I'm planning on doing is staking all of these, and I'm going to mulch it probably with pine straw, because pine straw just does a really good job keeping the weeds down. I'm going to keep all of this right here, is going to be permanent. This I planted, so today's May the 1st. I planted this last Sunday afternoon. It has rained 2 times since then, and y'all can see this row right here is corn. See that right there? Some corn starting to come up right here. That has been 1 week. Right here we've got purple hull peas. See where they're popping up out of the ground? Got a whole little row of them down through there. This row right here is going to be sugar snaps, and then I've got a half row of green beans. You'll see the green beans starting to pop up. What we've got over here, I've got 2 short rows. This is going to be bell peppers. This right here is tomatoes. Planted them all from seed this year, which is what I did last year, and it worked out really well. It's just late this year. The weather's been cold, and I just waited longer, probably longer than I even should have. I could have planted earlier than I have, but it ain't no big deal. Still come up. Right here we've got sweet potatoes. Planted those in little mounds too. That loose piles of dirt allows those potatoes to grow in there without actually binding up in the dirt. Makes bigger potatoes, gives them more room to grow, and you can just keep piling dirt on them as they start to kind of, sometimes they'll kind of work their way out of the ground a little bit. They'll start getting big enough. You just keep piling dirt on top of there. Blackberries were planted in February is when I transplanted those. 2 rows of corn, row of peas, row of beans. It's planted 1 week ago. That was 7 days ago today. I just planted my tomatoes and peppers yesterday, and along with my squash and the potatoes. We just put all that in the ground yesterday. Today's June the 21st, and my garden has gotten just about out of hand. I've been trying to get done in my shop this year for the first time ever before deer season. I hadn't spent as much time out here as I need to, but as y'all can see, now at least we've got vegetables. I'm about to pick some peas. All the snow peas have already come in, and we'll go ahead and till that under probably tomorrow. Got some purple hulls that are almost, they're going to be about another week to 2 weeks maybe, and they're going to be ready to be picked. My tomato plants are just now starting to put on some tomatoes. Sun sugars are doing excellent. They are just full of little tomatoes. I mean, just tons of them. Squash, they just didn't do too good. We'll probably end up getting some squash off of them, but I needed to water them. It got really dry and never started raining again. I hated to water too early because I didn't want the roots to be too shallow. So ended up probably waiting too long on them, but that's all right. We've got a ton of green beans. We planted some bush beans, and they're just hanging full of beans. All those down in there, if you can even see them amongst all the grass. So this thing's just full of grass. I usually don't let it grow up this bad, but it's all right. We're still gonna get vegetables. Sweet potatoes have exploded. As long as bugs or mice or worms don't get to those sweet potatoes, I'm gonna have a bumper crop of sweet potatoes. Got rid of some of the suckers off the corn plants yesterday, but they're doing good. A lot of these stalks have got 2, and some have even got 3 ears of corn on them. So I'm pretty excited about that because I absolutely love corn. You know, my blackberry bushes that I planted, they've just blown up too. They're, I don't know, 4 or 5 foot long now. It looks rough, but we're gonna grow something. I got the first picking done. Entire basket slam full of beans. So I guess the moral of this story for today is, if you think that you're not going to have enough time to maintain a garden, so you decide not to plant one, just plant it anyway and let it go and pick what you get. I bought 2 packs of seeds. They were $4. That's $4 worth. But we have taken it to the whole nother level with this garden as far as not maintaining it. I'm basically just let it go just to see if we can even grow anything without any maintenance whatsoever. Because I have got 100% confidence that I'm going to get done in my shop this year before deer season. So basically we're just going to let this garden come in and get what we get. I'm going to show you what we got going on. To have done 0 maintenance, look at the sun sugar tomatoes. I mean, there are just piles and piles that I've got to pick. Today our tomato plants are getting up really good now. I'm starting to get some tomatoes. Starting to get a few squash growing. Got to water the squash again. It's been just blistering dry. Sweet potatoes are just huge. So is the grass. The grass and the sweet potatoes are growing great. The purple hulls are ready. I've already picked one entire basket full of purple hulls. But y'all can see, I mean, these things, they are just, I mean, they are loaded. Loaded, and just full. I've got a bunch of corn that's coming in too. We picked some corn, I think it was day before yesterday, and I mean, really good looking, like big ears. The corn did good this year. It's all just about ready to be picked. It's not too horrible for a 0 maintenance garden. Even got a couple of cantaloupes growing. I was pretty sure those plants were just dead because of the grass. I'll show you all my blackberries over here. And this is just right on the side of my yard. I pick these things every other day, and there's just this many more. You talk about good. These are actually dewberries. Grow all the way down this fence right here, and they are absolutely delicious. Y'all check out my thornless blackberry bushes. I mean, they just continue to get bigger and bigger. It's going to be really impressive. I do believe next year, once I get these things staked up like I want them. I mean, look at that. That's wild. Anyway, we'll see y'all come about August. Y'all, I don't know why I think this is so funny, but most people would be mad because their garden is so overgrown that they can't get in it. But I mean, y'all look at this. Like, it is a jungle. It is so bad. It was not near this bad just 10 days ago. Today is July the 11th, and I just did a video on the 1st talking about how it's starting to get grown up. And you can go back and look at that part of the video compared to today, 10 days later. It's rained about every other day, and the grass in here has taken over. But you know, I kind of decided I wanted to try this, just see what happened. And y'all look, these are sweet potatoes, okay? This entire thing has turned into a giant sweet potato vine. And of course there's grass in it, but it is so grown up. I mean, I've even got like the occasional weed here or there growing up. I've already picked just about probably 90% of the corn. It's already done. Got the rest of it I picked today in that basket, along with some cucumbers, which y'all can see the cucumbers over here are just like some grass with some cucumbers sticking out of it. Of course, my sun sugar tomatoes are just slam full still. we pick these things about 50 at a time, and my tomatoes are still doing good. Obviously, I'm going to need to come in here. I'll probably till around them and just cut the rest of the garden down once I get this rest of this picked, because I've got peas. We've still got a bunch of peas left to pick. You see all the purple hulls that are ready to pick. I've got to get the rest of them today. I've already picked them 3 or 4 times, and they're pretty much finished. Once I pick them this time, I'll probably go ahead and just mow all of this stuff down, because it's just gotten completely out of hand. Do have 2 cantaloupes. Look at the grass. Like, y'all look at this grass. I mean, it's just like I'm in the middle of a pasture, and I've got cantaloupes. Got cantaloupes growing in here. Like I said, it's kind of funny looking, but it is what it is. We've gotten a bunch of vegetables this year, put up a bunch of stuff in the freezer, and honestly, like I said, I just didn't want to take the time this year in the garden where I needed to be in my shop, getting caught back up from last year. So no regrets. Anyway, guys, let's go pick some peas. Got me a few more peas, and that's probably going to be the end of that. I think I'm going to go ahead and mow them down. You know, I've even got to mow my grass. Like, my grass even looks horrible. But I tell you what I did. I left and I went to Destin and I went deep sea fishing. And I promise you, it was way more fun than maintaining a garden. So it was well worth it. Now we're going to go in here and get my shovel, and I'm going to go ahead and dig up these sweet potatoes, because I'm afraid if I let them go any longer, it's just going to be a giant ball of grass. You're supposed to wait for those leaves to yellow, but we're going to get some potatoes. I promise y'all. So let's start digging. All right, now the trick is going to be trying to find the potatoes. I promise they're in here somewhere. One. Yeah, how about that? Good sized potato too. Compared to my hand. Yeah, who says you gotta wait for these leaves to turn yellow? You guys are ready to go. I always like doing this because it's almost like finding buried treasure. Just had something munching on these. It's all right. We still beat them to it. We're gonna get most of them. Dang, wad of them right there. Man, they didn't eat that up. Look at that. Huh. Have to get a hold of that little guy. Ooh, Lord, Lord. Look at there. You want to grab a hold of that potato? Ugh. I ain't never dug one of those up out from underground before. That's a big old girl too. Got her come up here to check me out. Man. Tear your butt up right there. I gotta say, it's a pretty good sized pile of taters. That was certainly a pain having to dig through all that mess to get them. But we got enough potatoes to last us months, probably 8 months worth, I guess. Probably how long it took last year. I tell y'all, if you ever take potatoes, if you'll put down some newspaper inside of an old cabinet somewhere in the house, put down some newspaper, lay them on there and shut the drawer, they'll stay dry. That newspaper will help take the moisture out of the air, and they will keep for just about as long as you want to eat them.